Good evening. Welcome to Newsnight. My name is Kenneth Jesse. Here are stories making headlines tonight. President Akufo-Addo touts work done by his appointees as outstanding, rubbishing calls for a reshuffle of his government. Government expresses disappointment in rating agency S&P's decision to downgrade Ghana to CCC Plus from B-. We'll tell you more. Bulk Tanker Drivers Union threatened strike after September 30th, 2022 showed the National Petroleum Authority failed to resolve their outstanding issues. And later on the international front, Ukraine accuses Russia of using nuclear power plant like shield in their ongoing conflict. Details are coming up shortly. Stay with us. Grateful for joining us tonight. Now, government has expressed disappointment in rating agency S&P's decision to downgrade Ghana to CC Plus from B-. Now, the Finance Ministry in a statement argues that Ghana has performed much better than the ratings. So these are excerpts of that downgrade, and on 5th August 2022, Standard and Poor's Global Ratings downgraded Ghana's foreign and local currency credit ratings from B-/B to CC+/C with a negative outlook. According to S&P, the downgrade is due to intensifying financing and external pressures on the economy. In arriving at their decision, the credit rating agency considered 1, the lingering effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, and a severe global shock of the Russian invasion of Ukraine on Ghana and the consequent fiscal and external imbalances. B, elevated gross financing needs in the face of international capital market hiatus. C, the limited commercial financing options. And D, the credible steps taken by government to fast-track fiscal consolidation. It continues by saying that government has implemented key revenue and expenditure measures, including the 30% cut in discretionary expenditures. The delays in the passage of key revenue measures introduced in the 2022 budget affected revenues performance in the first half of the year. However, all the revenue measures introduced in the 2022 budget, including the review of the MDA fees and charges bill, the tax exemption bill, the e-levy, have all now been implemented by Parliament. These fiscal measures are now in full implementation mode to support our fiscal and debt sustainability policies. The government is committed and confident that it will successfully emerge from these challenges in the shortest possible time, as we have demonstrated the track record to do so in the Akufo-Addo-led government. Our current engagement with the International Monetary Fund for a program incorporating our enhanced domestic program is expected to support our drive to restore and sustain macroeconomic stability, debt sustainability, and promote growth and job creation, whilst ensuring social protection to achieve our vision of a Ghana beyond aid. So that is the response from government, and this is the latter part, which continues by saying that the government is committed and confident that it will successfully emerge from these challenges in the shortest possible time, as we have demonstrated a track record to do so in the Akufo-Addo-led government. Let's seek some clarity on this, and I've been joined on the phone by the Director of Business Operations at Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson. Mr. Jackson, good to have you on the show. So, another downgrade What does this mean for our economy?
Good evening, sir, and I say hello to all your listeners and your viewers. Now, it's very simple. The independent observers, those who are outside this country, those who are not influenced by our partisan politics, have looked at the numbers coming out of our budget, coming out of our mid-year review, and say Ghana is heading for a bad place, and we're still heading for a bad place. Effectively, what you're saying is that if you lend money to Ghana, you may stand the real risk of not getting paid.
Okay.
Your interest or your principal. That's what this says.
Right.
And the situation is expected to get worse, not get better. That's what they mean by a negative outlook.
Right. Now, during the previous administration, this government was always agreeing with these rating agencies whenever they downgraded our country's economy. But we've seen time and again that they've come out with responses to rebut these claims by these rating agencies and citing more excuses. Do you think what the response the Ministry of Finance came to give was necessary?
Well, they had to address the issue. It's a very serious issue. It says that we are in a dire state, capable of defaulting, with all the consequences of defaulting your debt and the devastation to the economy that can result. Now, the truth of the matter is that in the mid-year review, we missed an opportunity. We missed an opportunity to show that Ghana is willing to address its issues. We missed an opportunity to cut debt. We missed an opportunity to look at revenue generation afresh. We still kept our sacred cows, free SHS and co. And remember that nothing much has changed. As we said, we still are going to spend close to 55% of our income paying salaries. And that was without COLA, a 15% COLA adjustment. We were going to pay 50% of our income on interest rates. When you take these two, everything else we do is to borrow.
Okay.
That deficit is so big we borrow.
Right.
And we missed an opportunity to cut expenditure and show that we were serious about tackling our challenges.
Interesting.
That's what this is.
So could the latest downgrade by S&P have any effect on our negotiations with the International Monetary Fund?
Yes, it would. It will make us a little bit more desperate. You've already seen that our CD is crashing. This will make it even worse. Our foreign reserves are down to the bone. This will make it even worse. We're already seeing dollars being rationed because we don't have enough. And us prioritizing the areas of the economy that must get the dollar.
Right.
And real challenges ahead.
Okay.
And the situation is dire.
Okay. Could that also lead to the men and women at the IMF rethinking again that why should we actually give a bailout to a country like us?
Not really. I do believe that they have anticipated this. It was coming. It was on the cards. So I do believe that it will make us more desperate. It will make the conditionalities more stringent, but we still should be able to strike a deal in the first quarter of next year.
Right. Mr. Joe Jackson, always grateful for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Let's take you to the presidency now, as President Akufo-Addo has dismissed calls to reshuffle his appointees. He says the output of his ministers so far has been outstanding and calls for a restructure of his cabinet at this time are unwarranted.
Into his second term, President Akufo-Addo is yet to make major changes in his government, prompting calls for a reshuffle. But in an interview, the president said his ministers have met his expectations and he does not have plans to make any changes.
Several of the people who were responsible for assisting me to steer the country out of the difficulties that we inherited and out of the difficulties that have subsequently come are still in place. And many of them, for me, have done an outstanding work. Their output has been considerable. And that's what I look at. There's an issue about reshuffle or the performance of ministers. It isn't as if it is something that every now and then my mind comes to. It's a daily preoccupation for me. I'm required on a daily basis to ask myself whether the output of particular ministers is up to the mark. I am not the final authority, and if they're not up to the mark, I'm required to act. But if the output measures the expectations, then I don't have any strong reasons to heed them.
He believes some of the calls are from persons with ill motives to destabilize his government.
The calls come from all kinds of reasons. NDC wanting to destabilize your government is one. There are people who are also looking for jobs. But I'm not disputing that there is quite a lot of attention on it. But I also think it is important for us to have a really holistic look at this matter and be certain of what we're doing.
Right, so that was President Akufo-Addo there. Let's still stay on this matter, and joining me to talk about this is governance analyst fellow at Center for Social Justice, Nii Ama-Addy. Good evening, Nii. Welcome to the program. The president is full of praise for his ministers. Have they really been as good as he claims they have?
Good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity. The jury is out there, and no well-meaning Ghanaian, maybe with the exception of the president, would say that the government is doing very well. And we should not hide under the cloak of politics or pretend that things are well when in actual sense things are not very well. I mean, the Minister for Finance, for example, if you look at the S&P ratings, which we've seen recently, that has put us to CCC+, and it's predicted that in a month or two, we'll be further downgraded to D, tells you clearly that the minister is not doing very well.
Right.
Go to the market where we have been told that that is where the economy is properly practiced, where, I mean, food is bought, where monies are spent on daily living. Go there and find out, and they will tell you, without any economic terms, without any financial terms, that things are not the way they used to be. Right. So for me, as a former lecturer, I'll tell you that if a student is scoring 60+, definitely there must be something to be done. Right. Either you give a special tuition to that student to prop up, or you drop the student from the course.
Right.
So I think that, yes, there's a need for reshuffling.
Right. And talking about reshuffle, the president has certainly rubbished the calls for ministerial reshuffling. Do you think that it's a good stance he is taking?
I beg to differ. I think it's not a good stance. Even though it's a leadership call and the president is the ultimate person to determine, as he rightly said, but I mean, they are serving the citizenry. They are serving the people of Ghana. And therefore, if the voice is so loud out there that they are underperforming, then I think that the president should humbly listen to what Ghanaians are saying, because some of the ministers are not performing.
Okay. And if there should be reshuffling, which ministers do you expect to get a chop?
I mean, to be very blatant with this, I'll tell you that Minister for Agric is not doing very well. Because if you follow the recent shortage of food in our various secondary schools, it tells you that we are not planting enough in order to even feed the students and pupils in school. So I would say it should go. Finance is so loud out there that finance must also go. We are not doing well in employment. We are not being innovative to generate employment. So you have a lot of graduate unemployment out there. So employment must also be looked at. So yes, I'll take these three.
Right. What about education? Because
And health. And then health. I'll talk about health too, because the no bed syndrome is still there. Our hospitals are all not functioning as they're supposed to be. So I'll take health, I'll take agric, I'll take finance, and I'll take employment.
what about education?
Yes, education, there are challenges, and there's a need for review. If they can get their act together and come up to the table to review the free SHS policy, then I think we will be good.
Okay.
But then again, if you look at how bad the economy is performing, then you would say that if we review the free SHS and ask parents to pay, then we're going to further visit more hardships on parents because they can't find jobs, their money is not enough, and therefore a call for a review, which means that financial burden has to be pushed on parents, would mean that there is going to be more suffering on Ghanaians. But
Right.
if the economy is improved, then I would say that yes, pushing some cost elements to parents to pay will be a call in the right direction.
Right.
So I'll put education 50-50.
Okay. So education, employment, finance, and agric.
Education is 50-50. Finance
Okay.
must go fully, agric must go fully, employment must go fully, and education 50-50.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Now, President Akufo-Addo has urged Ghanaians to keep faith with his government as work to improve the economy continues. Speaking in an interview on North Star Radio, he said, although times are challenging, the economy, which has been negatively impacted by COVID-19 and worsened by the Russian invasion of Ukraine, will bounce back strongly.
Economy, which was once rated as one of the fastest growing economies in the world, has in recent times reached a tipping point. Ratings agency S&P lowered Ghana's local and foreign currency credit ratings, further predicting doom for the economy. The government has, however, disputed this verdict. In an interview on the first day of his Northern Regional Tour, President Akufo-Addo decried the external influences which have severely impacted the economy.
And they're saying that I am looking for an excuse
Okay.
as to what has happened to the economy. What excuse do I need? When we made the budget in 2021, November,
Okay.
not even a year ago, in November, we made the budget on the principle that we will be paying on the average $64 per barrel of crude.
Okay.
And the budget was constructed around this because, as you know, energy, we are a net importer of,
Yeah.
of oil, of crude,
Yeah.
would have such a major impact on how the economy works. So that calculation is fundamental to the sense of the budget.
Okay.
From January, February, when the war in Europe began,
Okay.
fuel prices, crude oil prices on the open market have been more than 100.
Yeah.
And it's being suggested that this significant, this considerable increase from 60 to 100
Yeah.
would have no impact on our domestic situation. It's had a tremendous impact on our balance of payments.
Okay.
He, however, urged Ghanaians to remain confident in his government's ability to revive the economy.
As that have been dealt with us in this, our second term, are these exogenous factors, external factors that have had such a big impact on us. And we are determined to work our way through it. We
Okay.
did it when I first came into office, and I'm strongly of the belief that we can do it again.
One major infrastructure that supports economic activities across the country is roads. The president said his achievement in this sector is unrivaled. Government has currently engaged the International Monetary Fund for support to stabilize its balance of payments.
Let's bring in more stories as the chairman of the Bulk Tanker Drivers Union, Clement Ampadu, says drivers will embark on another strike on September 30th should the National Petroleum Authority fail to resolve their issues which led to their earlier sit-down strike.
This is the first meeting between the National Petroleum Authority
and the Tanker Drivers Association with the various unions after calling off their strike to demand the removal of the tracking devices and seals on their trucks. Dialoguing on the possible approach to resolve concerns of the tanker drivers, the National Petroleum Authority took them through how the tracking devices work.
One of the major issues is the misconception and some perception about the technology. I believe that as we continue to engage them, and that is why you saw that the first part of the engagement was to do a presentation from the service provider on how the systems actually work, what the system is capable of doing, what the system is not capable of doing, how tampers are generated, the processes they take them through to be able to arrive at whether you have, either committed a certain offense or not.
Though satisfied with the initial steps taken, chairman of the Bulk Tanker Drivers Union, Clement Ampedu, threatened another strike should government fail to address their challenges before the agreed date, September 30.
We first part, ye aba na ye wo kopem 30th September. Ye bedru hono na ye program so anase ye hawa de ba no na ya hwani asiesie ni nyina. Enti ya ma o ma ate asese se dru 30th no na se o hawa de ba no se ye ntimi anso bo a ye besan astarte ye sit down strike no. But e dru 30th no na se no machia meeting be 5-6 ni etimi asolve program no dia na chese BBS.
On his part, Chief Executive Officer of African Energy Consortium Limited, Kwame Jantwa, called for a thorough resolution between the parties for an easy supply chain.
They are transporting products that move vehicles around, and it's an essential part of the economy, and it has to be done well. Barring any other form and way of transporting, that is what we have today. So there needs to be that collaboration. MPA is the regulator, BOST is the operator. We have to be able to work together. Barring any other form of transporting refined petroleum products, we have to work together.
Still to come in this bulletin, 18-year-old man burned to death after attempting to save properties that were engulfed in fire at Swami in the Ashanti region. That's what's coming up after the break. Hello again. If you just joined us, this is News Night on Metro Television with me, Kenneth Jesse. Let's take you to the Ashanti region where an 18-year-old man has been burned to death after he attempted to save properties that were engulfed in fire in a 10-bedroom apartment. The incident happened at Kronom in the Swami municipality of the region.
The said house where the fire reportedly started is a 10-bedroom house at Kronom, which has been turned into a plastic manufacturing factory situated in the particular residential area. The property owner and resident could not salvage any property from the inferno due to its intensity. At least 5 tenders were at the scene to battle the blaze, which spread to other adjoining structures, including a church. An eyewitness spoke with the media.
I told everyone in the house to come out, but the boy refused. He was helping someone who was disconnecting the electrical wires. I went to a friend's house the moment I saw the fire extending to my house. I could not bear the scene. The firefighters did their best, but the more they tried to douse the fire, the more the fire blazed.
As the Brima Divisional Fire Commander DO3 Selassie Aveno says, investigations have commenced to ascertain the cause of the fire.
The extent of damage as we speak, the factory itself, which was attached to the residence, was destroyed, totally destroyed by the fire. And then the owner's residence, which was just a few meters away from the factory, about 11 bedroom house, was also totally destroyed. Unfortunately, they are pets, that is dogs which were also in the house and were in chains, were also killed by the fire. Other adjoining buildings, other 3 adjoining buildings also caught up in the fire and partially destroyed.
The charred body of the 18-year-old young man was trapped in the fire after trying to use the extinguisher to fight the fire. The mortal remains of the deceased has been deposited at the morgue for preservation and autopsy.
Following the clashes at University of Ghana, security consultant Richard Kumado has called for enhanced security protocols at the university as one of the solutions to the students' impasse. According to him, the feud between university halls is nothing new, but the energies can be redirected into healthy academic competitiveness.
There has to be a proper engagement during the orientations with student leadership, particularly at the highest level of the halls we are talking about, Casford, Unity, Katanga, and Commonwealth. And once those discussions are addressed properly and in line with student regulations and what policies governs good behavior and the ramifications for bad behavior, I think it will help the situation. Let the authorities descend. They should not wait until something like this happens, then they begin to react. You remember there was one other one where the students were complaining and grumbling and they were agitating for how the halls have been badly managed and the total number of people they were packing into the halls. The university authorities went sleeping until Kofi Annan got to the premises, and I think one of the halls went naked as they usually would do, or they demonstrated by singing against Kofi Annan. Then the university authorities came and said, we are making Commonwealth Hall a mixed hall. That wouldn't solve the problem, and that wouldn't stop them from agitating for student unity and student leadership on campuses. We know it, and I'm saying that, yeah, these are grown-up guys. Let's engage them meaningfully, and let's also assure that, particularly when they are demonstrating using anger to address misgivings on the part of authority, let us not come with a strong cutlass and cut off their heads, because, hey, those guys are the helm of affairs in national leadership in every aspect of society.
And the management of the University of Ghana, Legon, has issued a statement signed by its registrar, Emilia Ejay-Mensah, condemning the recent violent clashes between students on the campus. The clash between the Vandals and Vikings led to the setting ablaze of a car park within the premises of the school. Some students were also seen throwing stones and other materials at each other. Although the reasons for the clash is unknown, police are still conducting investigations. And I've been joined on the phone by Chief Gege, who is 9798 Vandal, Munkaila Mohammed Abbas, who is also a former student of the University of Ghana. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Share with us your experience as former students of the school.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name is Munkaila Mohammed Abbas.
Right.
Yeah, and popularly known as Chief Gege, 9798, right?
Okay. Abbas.
Yeah, so I would say for me currently, what's happening on campus is unacceptable. It's really unacceptable. What the act that the students condone is very, very unacceptable. But the issue now here is that the way forward, when we say the vandals, when we say someone is a vandal, that person should be a gentleman, a complete gentleman, someone who respects himself. A vandal is a selfless person who respects himself, who only fights for people who are less privileged in the society. So I don't think what happened, the act that happened, constitutes vandalism.
Right.
Yeah, it's not vandalism. Because we vandals, whatever we do, it's a well-organized institution that if even the chief vandal has no concern about what happens, it doesn't come under our jurisdiction.
Right.
And if you know, I think the JCR issued a disclaimer saying that what happened has nothing to do with the hall. So I think there should be further investigations. There should be further investigations to know, because It's different from group of students going to do their own thing and the hall as a whole championing a cause.
Right. Abbas, these rivalries did not start today. I believe that as far back as the 90s, when you were a student in that university, you witnessed such rivalries. But the violent clashes that have happened recently are a bit out of, are getting out of hands these days. Take us back to the 90s. Was it always like this?
Yeah, you are right. You see, it wasn't like this. Some of us came and met this type of argument between the Vandals and the Sabah Hall, but it wasn't full of violence like this. It was just like, you know, like clashes of powers. And mind you, the history behind Commonwealth Hall and the Mensa Sabah Annex, which is Okponglo, is that the residents there are people from Commonwealth Hall. They are Commonwealth students. They are Commonwealth Hall residents who migrated to Okponglo. So one way or the other, we are the same people. But I think now, like you said, it's getting out of hand, and then we have to find a solution.
People are calling for
I think the best way is I would take responsibility as one of the members who have neglected their hall, because some of us as Chief Vandals and old hall residents, we need to come back to the hall and talk to the boys.
Right.
We need to educate them. We need to educate them. And I think this education has to be done as soon as possible, because what I'm seeing is that some of them have taken this vandalism to a different level. And that is not vandalism. Vandalism is love, is care, is championing a cause that will help make peace in society, but not to harm people.
Right. People are calling
so
for...
we have to come back. We have to come back. The Chief Vandals, I'm talking of the Chief Vandals, former JCR presidents, all these people, former hall mates, we have to come back, get time, and talk to these boys. It's getting out of hand. I think the word is some of them are misbehaving.
Right. People are calling for the disbandment of some of these groups on campuses. Do you agree with them?
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because there's the only voice that the students have in the whole country deals with these halls.
Right. I'm afraid we've run out of time, Mr. Munkaila. Thank you very much for speaking to us tonight. Away from that, officials of the Electricity Company of Ghana have arrested an event center operator for illegal connection. Officials of the power utility were on a routine check after the inauguration of a committee to check consumer abuse of electric power.
The Electricity Company of Ghana has for the past few days been working at reducing commercial losses. The company says power theft is a huge drain on the company's resources after an amnesty was given to consumers to report illegal activity and get them rectified. ECG has begun an operation to check illegal connection and other activities which drains the company's resources. A committee was inaugurated to go round and deal with power theft by consumers. The event center was said to have connected power illegally to its premises for many years.
Not just 8 hours, without considering them working after, let's say, 5 p.m. If I'm considering the fact that they work from 8 to 5 p.m., 8 hours, which they go beyond that. If I just look at that, we are looking at per day consumption with what I've gathered here, 748 kilowatt hour. If I multiply this by 30, we are looking at 22,440 kilowatt hour per month.
The manager in charge of revenue protection and technical investigation, Ishmael Oku, cautioned against illegal activities, insisting ECG will sustain the exercise.
We'll be very grateful you continue with the assistance you are giving us so that the public will know that doing this will cost everybody in the country. If electricity goes down, the nation goes down. And so when we apprehend corporates like this, we'll always want to expose. We call it naming and shaming, so that it will serve as a deterrent to others who are engaged in such illegalities.
Managing Director of ECG, Samuel Mahama, who inaugurated the committees, asked Ghanaians not to entice them with money.
We want to entreat each and every Ghanaian not to entice them with money. They are not to give them any amount of money for whatever reason whatsoever. If you are doing the right thing, there is no need to compromise any of my employees.
He asked Ghanaians to pay their bills to ensure ECG is able to discharge its duties. Samuel Mahama said the exercise was to stop commercial losses to enable ECG achieve its aim.
Let's do right by Ghana and let's start paying our electricity bills. Let's start prioritizing our electricity bills. And please, this doesn't apply to only postpaid customers. It applies to everybody, prepaid, postpaid, any single person who is enjoying power on the ECG network. Please, let's do our best to pay our bills and pay them on time so that we can grow the sector very well.
Let's take you to Kenya, because that country is one of Africa's leading economies, and they will be electing a new president on 9th August amid a surge in the cost of living. President Uhuru Kenyatta is backing his deputy's rival to win the poll and secure his legacy. Here's an insight of the upcoming elections in Kenya.
Kenya is noted for electoral disputes which has resulted in mayhem and deaths. And so, many Kenyans are hoping that this time will be different. Four-time failed presidential candidate Raila Odinga is trying his luck again. His big rival is the 55-year-old deputy president William Ruto. There are two other lesser-known names on the ballot paper: George Wajakoya and David Inwenwe Wahiga. Kenyans have topsy-turvy political happenings. Odinga was once an enemy of President Uhuru Kenyatta, has now thrown his weight behind Odinga's campaign, leaving Ruto, the deputy president, to catch up. The deputy president says the election is being fought on the economy, though in recent debates, corruption and justice have dominated. Ruto now styles himself as the people's man and has pledged to tackle unemployment by handing out wheelbarrows at his rallies. Odinga is promising to continue on the president's development agenda and improve the lives of vulnerable Kenyans by giving them a 6,000 Kenyan shilling monthly stipend. The nation of 56 million people have voted on ethnic lines for years, and this election will not be new. In the December 2007 disputed polls, followed by weeks of ethnic-based violence, an estimated 1,200 people died and about 600,000 fled their homes. Since then, politicians have been keen to emphasize peaceful democratic engagement, and that will be the hope of many as they go to the polls.
Right, and we're trying to touch base with Kenyan journalist Ron Clegg Audit to tell us about what to expect ahead of tomorrow's elections, but we have been unsuccessful. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Newsnight. Winston Taki is standing by with the latest in business.
And now to our first business story. A report by Standard Bank forecasts Ghana's growth rate to drop to 3.1% this year from the earlier projected 6.2%.
Standard Bank has slashed Ghana's growth rate to 3.1% this year. It has also lowered its 2023 gross domestic product forecast for the country's 4.1% from the earlier 6.8%. The government, in the 2022 media budget review, cut down the growth rate of this year to 3.7% from the earlier projection of 5.8%. But according to Standard Bank, the country's growth now faces a confluence of downside risk in 2022 and 2023. Standard Bank suspects that the government is running out of external financing options. Therefore, public investment in infrastructure is unlikely to underpin growth over the coming year. The Ghana cedi's plummet since January 2022 has further bumped up inflation, which will soften private household consumption over the coming year.
Now, a Deloitte African Powers report says 96% of all retail transactions in Ghana are done in the retail sector. The report, however, says despite this, the market has been flooded with foreign goods to the disadvantage of local manufacturers.
Even the large international retailers, the lack of extensive network of outlets remains a challenge, as they are not able to benefit from the economies of scales that they can achieve from established markets. Beyond the market size and the compounding challenges of retailers in Ghana is an influx of foreign products on the markets. In an interview with the head of marketing and strategic management at Maxim Cosmetics, Eugene Makwe, the nation needs a policy to protect local product development.
Our retail industry, right? I'd wish that, government will have some policies or otherwise, initiatives that will give, Ghanaians that leverage so that we'll be able to be in the retail, outlets a bit more, because it's very heartbreaking to know that you walk into some of these leading retail, outlets and you find, foreign brands in there. Now, these retail outlets, whether you like it or not, determines the consumption, pattern in every.
Now, the depreciation of the cedi affects commerce and industry while stifling growth, according to a chartered financial economist and lecturer at the University of Education, Winneba, Ba Ayekusi. There is a need for a total overhaul of the structure of Ghana's economy. That'll be all for business here on Newsnight. My name is Winston Taki. We'll be back with sports with Phil John Korte after this break. Stay tuned.
Well, good evening. It's time for sports. My name is Phil John Quality. The Women's Under-20 World Championship is set to start in the Central American country of Costa Rica. Ghana will be in the same group with the United States of America, Japan, and the Netherlands. Ben Foko is the head coach of the Black Princesses.
Well, 4 days we've been in Costa Rica, have 3 training sessions, and everything is going well. The players are responding to the training well, but the place is too crowded. You can see every day, it rains every day. So it becomes very difficult for the players to cope with the pitch because they fall down here and there every day. Even yesterday, even it was too much rain. We have to train in the indoors. And today we have to be here and making sure that maybe the field is okay for us. But it's the same situation as we train on Thursday. And it's become very difficult for us. So I wish the girls will have a stored boots which can help them a lot before the competition starts. Because if not that, if it's going to be the same showering every day, it's going to disturb the players in the tournament. Far from the game itself, and here we are very close to the tournament, and we always have to let the players know that we are very close to it.
Ben Foko is the head coach of the Black Princesses, preparing for the World Cup in Costa Rica. Here in Accra, Tamale City has qualified to be part of the Ghana Premier League after drawing 1-1 with Vuitton Draps at the Accra Sports Stadium. Let's hear the coaches after the match.
Yeah, I feel bad. We really prepared to come to play this match and win to come to the Premier, but it's a very unfortunate game for us. We didn't qualify, so I'm very disappointed. We are going to prepare for the next season. That is all.
For the boys, they deserve more than this. Since
inception of Tamale City, but for our next exposé, this should have been our third or fourth season, but it was truncated and then we could not make it. During the normalization, it was the same thing. It's happening again, and then when you are investing in something, you are getting the returns, definitely.
Anza Mohamed is the head coach of Tamale City, speaking after they managed to seek promotion to the Ghana Premier League, drawing 1-1 with Bison Draws at Accra Sports Stadium. Well, that's your sports. My name is Phil John Quarty. Up next, Showbiz.
My name is Esiodua Akumia, and it's time for entertainment news. Singer and songwriter Oluwatobi Loba Daniel, aka Kiss Daniel, has been allegedly arrested in Tanzania after failing to show up for a paid concert in the country. Fans of the singer who had gathered at the venue of his advertised show in Tanzania left in anger and trashed the place after he failed to show up. Viral videos have shown. The Buga crooner was scheduled to perform at the Warehouse Old Next Door Arena in Tanzania on Sunday night as part of his Afro Classic World Tour. Following his failure to show up, a video of angry fans trashing the show's venue had trended earlier. In fresh videos trending on Twitter, however, the singer wearing a hooded jacket was seen being led into a police vehicle. That's it for entertainment news. My name is Esiodua Akumia. Kenneth?
Thank you very much, Esiodua. International news is next. Now, Ukraine accuses Russia of using nuclear plant like shield in their ongoing war. Let's take you back to the East African country of Kenya and talk about their upcoming election tomorrow. And I've been joined on Zoom by a Kenyan journalist, One Click Audit. Good evening. Welcome to Metro TV in Accra. There's few hours to the elections tomorrow. How is preparation like?
Well, thank you very much. As you've clearly put it, yeah, it's a few hours to election, less than 12 hours. Over 22 million Kenyans will be going to the ballot in the morning to choose their preferred presidential candidate, and also 5 other people in the election. That is the governor, the senator, the woman rep, and the member of parliament, together with the member of the county assembly. Now, today has been a busy day in all newsrooms, and basically we've been moving around up and down trying to, follow the electoral commissioners and, officials who've been setting up various polling stations ready for the exercise tomorrow morning.
Right.